Good evening. Welcome to Plain Talk. I am Phillip Edward Alexander, the political leader of the Progressive Empowerment Party. This evening, the party is going to talk to you about local government, the fact that we believe that it is a complete waste of time and money, is non-functional, does not serve the country as it is intended to. When we come back from our animated intro, I will introduce my panel and we will get into it. And we're back. And as I said before we went out, the topic today is local government. The Municipal Corporations Act. If you read what it intends to do, what it says it should be doing, and then contrast and compare that with what local government actually does, you will wonder, like we have, why do we have a local government system in the first place? Well, the Progressive Empowerment Party, as we are wont to do, we investigated just that. And we found that the local government system is ineffective. A toothless bulldog. It does not deliver. No one is happy with it. Electorally, it fails. Most regional corporations are not properly constituted. Absolute minorities in all regions vote. So then what is the point and why waste the money? Joining me on panel today, Chairman of the Progressive Empowerment Party, Head of the Finance Committee, Felicia Holder.
Good day, and thank you for having me on Plain Talk again.
Deputy Political Leader, Anthony Defoe.
Hello, good day, Trinidad and Tobago.
She is formerly the head of the youth arm. She has now been moved to the communications team and will be heading up and expanding our graphics team, Akila Bermudez.
Hello, Trinidad and Tobago.
We like to keep and include in all of our conversation as diverse a bunch of people as possible so that we could get multiples of opinions and we could really get into the conversation. Tony, and I'll throw this out to you quickly so that you could have your say, because I just had mine. But the reality of the situation is, and we've seen and we've tested, we've written regional corporations with regards to the Kiss Baking Company have admitted that Kiss Baking Company were vending illegally, that they have no permission to. And I'm using the Kiss case as a test case. That they have no permission to vend, they have no easement, no right, no privilege, no license, no permission. And that the people who are supposed to take responsibility on the release of those letters is the Municipal Corporation Police, outfitted, armed, precepted, paid to do just that. Now, we know that they can do the jobs because we've seen the Municipal Corporation Police pulling down other vendors.
Yes.
So is it a flagrant misuse of office, and could that be construed as misbehavior in public office, that you could pick and choose? It leads me to ask questions. I surmise and I wonder, what does Kiss Baking Company do that allows them to get away? Is somebody in all of the regional corporations getting extra special Christmas and Easter gifts? Because the other vendors that get taken down, I want to ask you a question. Do you think that this test case proves the point?
Yes, it proves the point because we've dealt with this and seen it firsthand. We've done walkabouts around the country, and there was this one time a few months ago we were up in Sandy Grande side by the market, and we saw police remove several vendors from on the side of the road, and just a stone throw away you had a Kiss vendor vending, and we asked the police officer what was the reasoning why this vendor was still there. and not being removed. They had nothing to say. They was saying, in fact, one of the other people turned around and said that they weren't obscuring the sidewalk or something towards that effect, but it was ironic enough that they were actually positioned right in front of a bus stop. So my question is, if I was vending in front of a bus stop, I believe I would have been removed. But and that is even a greater reason why they should have been removed. But they were able to apply their trade right there as Kiss Baking Company. But everyone else that was on the outskirts of that was actually removed. And at the end of the day, we've seen time and time again the system not being fair. Because you're looking at the small people on the ground that is just trying to actually survive, because they are the bottom of the barrel basically, and you have companies such as Kiss, which is on the Chamber of Commerce,
largest
I mean, really,
commercial
yes,
baking company in the Caribbean.
yeah, but law is law,
I'm
Philip.
just saying to you.
The law is the law. How is it they are not being able
When
to?
the actual police, not the municipal corporation police, take action, they cannot take action quoting the Municipal Corporations Act. So the police have to take action quoting the Highways Act, which is where we stumble into an area that is almost frustrating to law-abiding people, because outside on Saddle Road, outside Hilo, Massey, Shops of Maraval, there is a no vending according to the Highways Act erected right where a vendor, Mr. Franklin, has been vending for about 30 years, selling fruits since Massey was a boy. Selling fruits there. They've erected a no vending according to the Highways Act, but the closest highway is about 10 miles away. So he's not in breach or violation of the Highways Act. Where he is. So I'm saying to Trinidad and Tobago that the entirety of the state of Trinidad and Tobago, we have situations where government and state will conspire to lie, to paint a picture, to make it as if something is as it is, when it certainly patently it is not.
Correct.
Because it is not the Highways Act. So that the only people who are supposed to be able to take action against this gentleman selling his fruits and vegetables, Mr. Franklin, because the police arrested him and seized his goods and took him before a magistrate, like the lady in Chaguanas from under the flyover,
Yes.
who was selling her cigarettes and her newspapers, bus tickets, chewing gum. They arrested her and put her on $10,000 bail. But the Kiss Baking Company vendor hangs his bread from the no vending sign, Felicia. I see you want to weigh in.
No, you made a statement earlier that that the local government is a toothless dog.
Toothless bulldog.
A toothless bulldog. I actually disagree. I think it's a selective toothless
Selectively
bulldog.
toothless bulldog.
Selectively toothless, because I mean we were discussing this earlier in the room today, where we had that vendor around the savannah who was selling his art and had his art thrown away. The vendors
On the instructions of the mayor of Port of
on the
Spain.
instructions of the mayor of Port of Spain.
Because it was causing an obstruction, or so he said. Chase Village, the Triangle, there are two Kiss Baking Company vendors in the road,
Exactly.
across from each other.
But worse yet, Philip, we have an actual video of police removing vendors on the street of Charlotte Street, and in the video, while they are removing the guy selling his Valentine's Day teddy bears, you're seeing a Kiss vendor there with his baked goods, and I'm asking the question, what distinguishes him?
So Mr. Martinez, the mayor of Port of Spain, who wants to be referred to as his worship,
I'll sip to that.
is using the state power of the office he temporarily holds selectively.
Precisely.
So it could be said that the state discriminates against persons.
I don't think there's another interpretation for that, because I actually saw somebody posting the other day defending the term 1%, and he said, why are we bashing them if there are people who worked hard for what they get. And I didn't respond, but when this issue with the kiss baking company and the vendors came to mind, because it's a glaring.
This is theft.
It is.
This is an illegal action. This is breaking the law. Kiss Baking Company, the managing director of Kiss Baking Company, Rene DeGans, knows, like I know, because I did a live video where I called into Kiss Baking Company live and on air. And the person in charge of assigning who gets to sell told me that no, they have no permission. All you need is to show up and come and we'll give bread to sell.
But Phillip, we wrote to the 14 regional corporations who responded saying the same thing.
Kiss Baking Company is using the Municipal Corporation Act to their advantage and to the disadvantage of every other legitimate bakery in this country.
Indeed.
Well, that's a fact, because right in Belmont,
Piggott
Corner, that's right. You have
Remember that bakery?
Belmont Bakery.
You have the bakery right across the street, and from across the street from the bakery, you have a Kiss vendor that's vending. And my question is this.
Pull up on the side of the road, buy it through the car, so you save them and you say, okay, it's
drive-thru.
convenience.
Bread
Drive-through bread,
No,
right?
but listen.
No, but they say it's convenience, but just saying to you that convenience is guerrilla marketing.
It is guerrilla
It is.
marketing.
They don't have rent to pay. They
Correct.
don't have overheads to pay. You literally pick up and leave when you want to, and this bakery is literally across the road,
But
having to pay salaries and
That's
utilities and all
right.
of this.
There you go.
And guerrilla marketing in the extreme sense of the term, because you have one basically getting away with breaking the law,
Yes.
while you have the legitimate bakeries who are
That's
there,
right.
who have to
That's
pay.
employing people,
Exactly.
paying taxes, and at the end of the day, the ripple down effect of that happening, because if Kiss Baking Company were to put that bakery out of business, you're talking about the employees of that business and the families associated to those employees, is creating a huge ripple effect. Case point, what happened in Petrotrin? How many employees lost their jobs, and what was the effect in Trinidad and Tobago from that happening? Because you are talking about the parlors, the groceries, a host of other downstream businesses that was supported by those employees were now getting less money coming in, because those people did not have a job, they did not have money to dispense. And it's the same thing that's going to happen where the baking companies are concerned, the small bakeries are concerned with their employees.
According to Google, an entrepreneur is a person who sets up a business or businesses taking on financial risks in the hopes of profit.
Right.
That describes every single bakery, not the day hustlers that Kiss Baking Company hires. Street hawkers, vendors, peddlers, as it is named in the Municipal Corporation Act. And the Municipal Corporation Act has a whole chapter on that. The
It's just-
authentic and genuine entrepreneurs, we're in.
No, I was gonna say it's just funny that none of the citizens actually standing up with the small business owners like the bakeries and stuff and saying that this is wrong and that Kiss Baking Company is breaking the law. But when we decided to do this social experiment and sell pep ups next to Kiss, everybody was like, "Oh my gosh, you're doing this is crazy! You put in this person, you're taking money from this person."
Oh, seriously?
And yeah.
Oh, so
we had a whole
wait,
situation.
wait.
There was a whole situation.
In Trinidad, no, but you see, this is not funny. Eh?
Yeah.
I'll tell you why it's not funny. Because years ago in Trinidad and Tobago, and I never want people to forget this, because this also is the legacy of Trinidad and Tobago. Years ago, opposite where they used to have a big Broadway sign on the corner of, what is that first road in Belmont after Hilton there?
Belmont Circular Road.
Belmont Circular Road. On the corner, they used to have on that building that Stuart Young broke the Elections and Boundaries Commission, the Election and Boundaries Act, last election, when he wrapped the whole building. And the building's cost to rent, not including the wrap, exceeded how much he was allowed to budget for the election campaign. Stick a pin. We don't take on that. Election in Trinidad, you can do what you want. Law, rules, come on, man. Who dares wins, who vex loss. On that building, they used to have a big Broadway sign, and in the shadow of that Broadway sign, in the savannah, a woman was dragged into the savannah and raped. And she was screaming for help. And 9 men came and helped the rapist.
Yes.
That is Trinidad. If you stand up for justice in this country, they are brain dead, knuckle dragging sycophants of every hue that will stand up and defend the wrongdoers, even at the expense of themselves.
Yeah.
We are a broken little people, you know.
Yeah.
The education that Trinidad and Tobago needs, first of all, is self-respect, you know. Is understanding what you are entitled to and what the other person is entitled to
Yes.
and what we collectively are entitled to, so we show each other respect and we build a nation. We go all over the world and take our selfies and talk about how well it works. The reason it works well is because there's a social contract where the state provides and the people abides, and we do not do that.
Simple thing as a pothole, and I always use this as an example, is where I stayed in England, in Bristol. They were doing some road works there, and they left a hole in the road, and it was fixed the next day. Immediately, that was fixed. And we live in a country where we have a pitch lake, and it takes
In Trinidad and Tobago and
Yes.
Diego Martin, where the Prime Minister Keith Christopher Mugabe Sabga Rowley is the Member of Parliament, from what was known to the community as Suarez, Four Roads Junction by the gas station, from Suarez to St. Finbar's Church, Montcoco Road, the original road, there are 9 cuts in the road. Each of them 6 by 6, 5 by 5. Huge gaping cuts in the road. Some utility cut and removed the entire road surface to do something, and when they finished doing it, they filled it with gravel. They didn't pitch it, no binding agent, just gravel. And that gravel has now settled. Now each of these big squares take up almost an entire lane. They almost touch the white line and they touch the drain. So it's a huge space, wider than a car, so that, and they are on both sides. So it's turned that Montcoco Road, and I'm only saying this because Akila brought up the issue of potholes. But it's turned driving on that Montcoco stretch into a slalom race where the people facing oncoming traffic play a game of chicken. Who could get there first?
first, right?
Who could get there first? We have no right of way in Trinidad and Tobago, you know. We have right of bullying. You do your thing and bounce me now and all this nonsense. And all of this foolishness is as a direct result of failure of government. It comes right back down to this. Local government has a role and a responsibility to the society, and it is paid for that. Why is it not being done? I raised the issue about the entrepreneurs. Kiss Bacon Company has used the Quelo brand because they acquired Quelo's sometime in the past couple decades. They acquired the Quelo's brand, so they use the Quelo brand to hide that Kiss is the one doing this. And they take these little day trading hustlers and they pay them by the day to stand up on the side of the road for 8 to 10 hours, breathing in more carbon monoxide than a human being should safely ingest. So they are going to, all of them are going to get complications from this hostile work condition. I want to know, where's OSHA? Where's the Ministry of Health? Where's anybody to give a damn about these little,
Entrepreneurs.
but they're not entrepreneurs, because according to Google, they
Entrepreneurs.
have nothing at risk here but their lives.
Yeah.
One died, 2 have been badly beaten. They're exposed, they put in, because they put at a place where traffic congests. So you know,
Sometimes dark areas. They are in dark areas sometimes.
24 hours of that much carbon monoxide inhalation is compared to smoking a carton of cigarettes. That's how they used to compare it. There was a time in our brief but brutal history, Trinidad and Tobago, Curep intersection was the most polluted spot on planet Earth. Dense, most dense for heavy metals in the air. And lead. We are killing these young boys and girls who are on the side of the road because they could get killed now for the money in their pocket, or they could get killed later from the carcinogens that they are inhaling. Chronic obstructive pulmonary disorder is one of the biggest diseases that people who work in that type of environment suffer from. Asthma, lung cancer, and all the other cancers, because that much carcinogen in vehicle exhaust, forget the carbon monoxide, that much carcinogen in all that goes to make up vehicular exhaust and diesel. I mean, these people are literally being poisoned for KISS to make $1. KISS is poisoning these predominantly young black men and women to make $1. Because these predominantly young black men and women in Trinidad and Tobago, as you said earlier, are the bottom rung of the socio-economic ladder, and their choices are limited. So wherever they get a hustle, they're taking it.
That's right.
And KISS Baking Company has a responsibility to know better and do better. But KISS, like every other profit whore, does not care. So then the state is supposed to have checks and balances to protect young people
Exactly.
from profit whores like this. So the state is supposed to have OSHA, and the state is supposed to have a Ministry of Health, and it's supposed to have a Safety Council, and it's supposed to have a Ministry of Local Government and regional corporations that would prevent this kind of abuse from taking place. None of those systems are working. Is KISS bribing everybody?
That's
Or are we just a failed nation?
Yeah.
One of those two things taking place, and I want to know.
Why not
Renee
both?
Gans, help me.
Both is
Renee Gans, help me. Is KISS Baking Company bribing all offices of state that should stop you from breaking the law on such a massive scale? Or are you, Renee Gans, and KISS Baking Company proving the fact that Trinidad is in fact a failed nation and nothing here works?
But
But the
director.
record.
No, but as we were talking, because all of this basically encompasses the whole local election that is carded. You know, the real usage of the local body, the local level government. You know, in reality, as like, you know, earlier before we started the show, we were talking, and a couple of questions I had just jumped up, and like a couple of them were local election carded for December 2nd. Yes, okay, we know that now, but really and truly, does the population know what the councillors' jobs are that resides within the local level government, as well as what does it actually entail as far as the jobs are concerned? Does the
Do
population
the councillors know?
Ah, I like that.
Do the councillors
I
know?
like that.
Does the mayor of Port of Spain know? None of them know. Everybody gets into politics in Trinidad and Tobago at every level to enrich themselves or to promote their own agenda.
Job for the boys as well.
But they have people who are foolish enough to get into politics because they're Indian and they don't want no black people to prosper, or they're black and they don't want no Indian people to prosper, or they're stupid and they don't want bright people to prosper. But that's the ridiculousness of our politics. Our checks and balances, what should be able to hold office holders to account, doesn't exist.
That's right.
When you turn to that page, it's not there. When you look to see who is responsible for bringing this person and that person to justice, it's not there. So the opposition leader just complain about the speaker. For what?
Yeah.
What you complain about the speaker for? It going nowhere. The speaker of the house could do what she damn well please. She's a political tool. She's a puppet of the party in office. Our system is so silly. It is so vacuous and stupid that the winning team gets to appoint the referee from among their ranks. How silly is that? It's like Manchester United is going to play Liverpool, and Manchester United, although Alex Ferguson really used to do that.
Come. Give us continue.
The referees really used to behave like the Manchester United. But seriously, man, come on, the system is stupid. Our whole system is a waste of time. This morning I had to call into a radio show that was discussing the President of the Republic dictating who you could bring as your guest. Now, I say these people really trying to send me crazy. Because if I have to respond to every piece of asinine behavior from every public office holder, this is all I will do all day. Trinidad and Tobago does not need a president. The $25 million being spent on the president's office every year could be spent on better things.
Yeah. You're absolutely correct.
Not one single person could tell me why we have a president or of what or which function the Chief Justice or the Prime Minister or the President of the Senate or the Parliament can't do.
Exactly.
We lost
Right.
at sea. We've woken up in Mammy house and we think there's all there is until we step outside into the real world and we realize that there are places where they take this kind of thing seriously, where the public not accepting foolishness. You become elected president of the United States of America. Now, prior to Trump, because I realized with Trump, they erased this, but prior to Trump, they gave you something called the honeymoon. And you had 100 days. 100 days, and nobody would tell the president or say anything about the president in a negative light while you found your way around and identified and put your things in place. On the 101st day, the honeymoon is over. And you are now responsible. Don't come and tell the nation about Barack Obama. Don't tell them about
Right.
Bill Clinton or Ronald Reagan. Nobody is sent for you. You fight for 2 years for this work. You come and you say you could run the whole country. You could
Right.
solve all the problems. Whatever Barack do, that is Barack legacy.
Yeah.
What you find here,
Yes.
do your assessment in your 100 days. Going forward from here, your responsibility. But not in Trinidad.
Yeah.
Not in Trinidad.
4 years
Our
later,
parliament.
PNM still talking about
But they're like
UNC and what they do.
chimpanzees in cages in the zoo flinging feces at each other.
Yeah.
You thief more, you thief more, you do this, you do that. What about this one? What about that one? And the average citizen looking on at the parliamentary channel is losing brain cells.
But I also think that one of the reasons for that is because, oh my God, I just lost my train of thought. Well, you were saying that PNM saying what UNC did and UNC saying what PNM did, and I just feel it's because they both have cocoa in the sun, as they say. So no one of them could actually stand up against the other party and actually say, okay, you're responsible for this, and let's hold you accountable for that, and
No,
you
but
know.
Akila, there should be systems where there should be an office responsible. And I was making a point about in the United States of America, from the 101st day,
Right.
everybody are on you. Even the party that you came into office with, watching you because you could bring all of them into disrepute. Trinidad and Tobago doesn't seem to care that if all of the people on the side with the government claps when the government does wrong,
Yeah.
that they all come across as criminal co-conspirators after the fact.
We have a country where we have systems and laws and acts for everything except holding people accountable.
Yeah.
And we were speaking earlier about the fact that we had a budget ready for what, $53 billion, yet we have no idea how it was spent or allocated for the last budget or the budget before
The
that.
entire THA should be dragged away in chains,
Yes.
jailed,
Yes.
for failing to account for the last 12 budgets. There is, look 4 billion. Look 4 billion more.
Again. Yeah.
Look 4 billion again. And nobody to ask. Nobody to say, not $1 for Tobago till the THA account for the last dollar they get. So that all 57,000 people in Tobago will have a reason to riot when they can't get paid. Because the THA, who are being paid to receive and disburse an account for Tobago's money, will be forced to actually do the job. In the United States of America, in my lifetime, the government was shut down 3 times. Shut down completely when they didn't agree. And all parks and all public spaces had to be closed. And salaries and wages couldn't be paid. And those who made up the government felt the pressure of those hundreds of thousands of people waiting on their salaries and wages. And you, as government, are the obstacle to their progress. Why do we live in such a failed nation where there are no consequences? None. The THA. I'm hearing Rudal Modulal in the parliament today talking about the massive communication sale done, the purchase done by Amy Less and TSTT. And it's such a criminally corrupt piece of action and there is nobody to even look into it. This is a country where the state just awarded more contracts to a company that imported a fake eye injection that blinded citizens. The person responsible should be in jail now.
Yes.
In China, they executed the female CEO of a baby food company.
Philip, I honestly thought that I woke up in the twilight zone the morning that I read those headlines that the CEO of AV Oil was going to sue the state for tarnishing his company's reputation. That same CEO has yet to account for $100 million in oil that $100 million that he was paid in oil that did not exist. That is the country that we live in, where everything seems to be broken. There is literally no system to hold people accountable. And like you used to say, is do what the hell you like, land.
I feel so flustered every time I do plain talk. I feel like shut everything down. But the thing is though, is like Pep gonna like do anything about this? Like when we get into government, what are we gonna do about all these allegations and all these things that took
will
place?
take us exactly to where we need to go. We have to take our first break. When we come back, the question that she just asked, what do we do about this? We'll answer that.
Antel is Trinidad's most reliable and technically experienced ICT company, providers of quality structured cabling, Cat6 data fiber, and power cables. We also stock cabling infrastructure basket-type cable trays for server rooms and data centers. Antel also installs and maintains video security systems including cameras, alarms, and electronic entrance locks for businesses and residential properties. Call Antel 674-1406 or 783-9250.
Sale. Boddington and Associates Optical is offering free eye testing along with 50% off all frames and 30% off all lenses. Boddington and Associates Optical, located at number 17 Carney Savannah Road, Chaguanas, and 11 McBean Road, Couva. Info line 671-5342. Call and book your free eye testing today. Boddington and Associates Optical, helping you see the way.
SN Glassworks, number 3 Lime Fruit Road, Freeport. Suppliers and professional installers of aluminum windows and doors, shop fronts, bath enclosures, awnings, skylights, insect screens, curtain walls, and claddings. Specials on aluminum sliding windows, 4 feet by 4 feet, $900 installed, and 4 feet by 6 feet, $1,000 installed. Call us today at 292-4308 or 746-0153 for all your glass needs.
And we're back. And joining us, she was running late. She was supposed to be part of the original panel. And she'll explain to you why. Because she gets here from Cedrus. So today her normally long 2-hour commute, I think it got a little longer, I think it's 2 hours. Anyway, she's the deputy party organizer and she's the coordinator for the South Hub. She is Michelle Davis.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, and apologies for being late.
Welcome.
Before we took a break, Akila Bermudez asked the question, okay, so all of this that you're talking about is wrong. What would the Progressive Empowerment Party do to fix it? Now, Tony, during the break, we were talking about how much more in depth could we go with regards to abolishing local government? abolishing the Municipal Corporations Act. But you can't stop there, because from a communication point of view, strictly communication and management, and when we say communication, we mean up, down, top, down, up, interdepartmental communication that keeps the wheels on the buses going round and round. We have, how many RHAs? 5? 6? 6 RHAs?
5.
5 RHAs. We have 9 police divisions. We have 16 regional corporations.
14.
14 regional corporations. I don't care about these numbers. Regional corporations. We have 14 regional corporations. 5, 9, 14, and 41 constituencies. Now, this is obviously designed to confuffle, because you have no free movement of information from a management structure, and the government of the country is the management of the country. That's all I put in the conversation for now. Michelle, you could jump in with this, because from a management science, the government of a country is the management of the country. So if you were going to set up a country, wouldn't there be at least an ease of interdepartmental communication for the flow of information?
It definitely will be, and that is one of the downfalls of this whole local government ideology that we practice here in Trinidad. It not only is one of the important things to note, it's very political. So, for example, down in South right now, you have Superior Regional Corporation, primarily known as a UNC corporation, stating that they get no funds to fix their job.
Yeah.
So what's happening? Who suffers in this case? It's the citizens of the country, because what's happening now, the two parties are playing politics with what should be done on a normal case.
With the delivery of government goods and services.
With the delivery of government. So you have drains and so forth, and the constant problem is we don't have the funds, we are not getting the funds. So the citizens are again continue to suffer at the hands of these two parties that continue to play political games, and also lack of communication. I have a file pending with Superior Regional, just to tell you a real life situation pending since 2012. 2012, and they passed my house every day.
Felicia, I have a story we could tell you.
Right.
With a woman who came to meet us, who her neighbor, for wickedness or other reasons, built her house into her driveway, so she have no access to her land, and she's been to every version of the regional corporation in her area. She got so frustrated. She actually got letters from the
Building supervisor.
supervisor to demolish, and the regional corporation and the EMA, and nobody would take action. She actually has documentations giving directions, and on 2 separate occasions, she went to Keith Rowley's meet and greet. What do you call
Meet
it?
the Prime Minister.
Meet the Prime Minister.
Yes.
And on both occasions, she stood up and asked for help. And on both occasions, he put her onto publicly.
Yes.
The regional corporation representative for the matter. I spoke to that person, and he said to me, and I couldn't believe what he said to me, it is more than the Prime Minister giving me an instruction. But I said, well, then that's it.
Well, one
There
of
is
the
a joke.
things, I have the exact same scenario. I have letters, correspondence from both prime ministers, present and past. I have EMA, the top of EMA. I have the top of OSHA. I did the same thing because I have a hardware operating 2 feet from my bedroom window. Right, which is illegal. I had to look up the laws of the Municipal Act, actually tell them. But what is critical to note, I have spoken to five ministers of local government, which oversee the regional corporation, and they themselves are almost powerless. I have emails where the Minister of Local Government has directed the corporation to execute, and the corporation has refused because, again, they continue to play politics with the people.
Michelle Davis, Trinidadians do not take local government seriously, not even central government.
No.
Somebody came to me and told me next door to his aging parents, a gangster set up a garage. So they do body work and engine work a wall is dividing
I
that
read.
property from his aging parents, and they into the wee hours in the morning, and the neighbors who have spoken to them have had their lives threatened. They went to the EMA, they went to the regional corporation. Letters were written as usual because we're damn good at that,
Yes.
and nothing.
Because
There is
the,
nowhere to turn.
there's
And
no
now-
consequence.
And now
Phillip,
we have a
here.
commissioner of police that says, if you light it in the road and you block the road, I will arrest you.
Right.
So what we've done
Mm-hmm.
is we've removed the last voice of a frustrated people.
Yes.
I want to tell, and I want Gary Griffith to hear this. He is absolutely right in enforcing the law. But he has to know that these people like you, like that woman, like this person, and like I assume thousands of others,
Thousands
Have
of
nowhere
others.
else to
have nowhere. You have all of your letters.
No, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I was about to say, and we were speaking about this earlier, that the Prime Minister announced local government elections on the 2nd of December, and I think Trinidad and Tobago collectively, nobody cared. The rubbish that I campaigned to remove since last year is still there, and I said I didn't want to blame the person in charge because she has the will, just she does not have the resources. Because
Who
like
has the
Michelle-
will? Nicole Young has the will.
I'm saying she wants to, but
If
that does not
I was
necessarily
the
mean she has the
councillor,
power to.
I would have rent a van and move the rubbish and drop it in front of the relevant office and tell them, charge me, because it have no business remaining in Belmont. We need people willing to take action now. You cannot tell Trinidadians that they cannot raise their voices. Martin Luther King said a riot is the voice of the unheard.
Exactly.
We have people in this country that believe from the Prime Minister down is a waste of time. That government is a waste of time. That nobody takes their cries seriously. If I, God in heaven, if I was one of those people whose loved ones were blinded, you think we taking it so? Do we taking it so in a country where everything corrupt? I know a magistrate who went to jail. He is a friend of mine now. He went to jail for corruption, and he could tell stories. I want to tell Trinidad and Tobago something. This nation is so broken, so rotten to the core, so corrupt. There is nothing, no office of state I trust to represent the people, and that is sad. I expect, Michelle, I expect that if I go to any office of state, that somebody with deep pockets could corrupt the system and rob me of representation or justice.
We don't expect results because we have become so acclimated to nothing getting done. When you have laws that are in black and white and people can set up illegal structures, a legal structure just doesn't go up overnight. There is a process of building it.
There is.
So these corporations are passing as the structure goes by, watching it and not taking action. And then, like, my family has been on this property 55 years. So how does a hardware just pop out in 10 years and just suddenly decide on
Know who
a
to bribe.
residential
Know who to bribe.
lot that they are going to disrupt my peace? I have a 94-year-old mother, and Phillip knows I had to leave the country because I cannot bring my mother in the house because a 94-year-old cannot be
Exposed to all
comfortable
the
and
Yeah.
exposed. I had to
And
fly
dust from
her
hardware,
out
noise.
because
That's
of
ridiculous.
the
Imagine
dust in the
that.
house.
I want to tell you another
And
story.
nobody cares. Nobody cares. You have people screaming on Facebook for cry for
When
help.
Daryl Smith was the chairman of the Diego Martin Regional Corporation, head of Diego Martin, whatever he was in the Diego Martin Regional Corporation. Robert Amara and I used to do a show in the morning, and at 6 o'clock every morning at the start of the show, we'd call the Diego Martin Regional Corporation live on air, and ask them, are you doing anything about Daybreak Cafe today? Because across the road from the Diego Martin Regional Corporation is a place called Daybreak Cafe. And Daybreak Cafe, by law, when you open a business, especially in a suburban area, not a commercial
Yes.
urban area, you have to provide parking.
Correct.
So you provide your parking, you get your permission, you get your bar license, and then you enclose your parking because that's now part of your seating area for your patrons. It was 4 parking lots before. It is now seats and DJ. No problem. And then they get away with that. So they encroach and they enclose, believe it or not, the sidewalk.
Yes.
They encroach the pavement. The whole width of the pavement.
Yes.
And nobody told them anything. And then they went into the drain. Now, Daybreak Cafe is on the corner when you come off the Crystal Stream Highway to turn onto Mount Coco Road. So all the traffic that is going onto Mount Coco Road is coming off of that. It is now a blind corner because Daybreak Cafe is blinding the corner. This is so decades now, you know. Decades now, eh? They are taking up a couple thousand square feet of public space that the Diego Martin Regional Corporation Enforcement Authority is across the road from. So how could you be the enforcement authority? And like, because they got away with that, because Diego Martin is my pet peeve, I've been there for a long time. There's a street called Vanderpool Lane. And in Vanderpool Lane, somebody set up on the corner of Vanderpool Lane is a lane. You can't drive a car in it, the tin. And they set up a little shop, and the shop get a little bigger and a little bigger. Just on the corner, selling a little shop thing. And the other day I passed there, they've replaced the little shop with a 20-foot container, a shipping container in the road. Not on wheels, on the ground. I think TNTech has given them an electrical connection. I don't know what address they said that they have. Because it's in the middle of Vanderpool Lane. So does TNTech send bills out now, Mark, to the middle of Vanderpool Lane? I don't know. And as ridiculous as I want to sound, I want Daybreak Cafe to know. Hear me. Clear as a bell. Tell your lawyers. If the Progressive Empowerment Party comes to government December 1st, on December 2nd, we will break your place down. Promise you that. Because it's breaking the law and it's setting the wrong tone for the rest of the country, and it's putting the elders and the little children at risk who now have no pavement. They can't even walk in the drain, so they have to walk in the road and compete with oncoming traffic. Because profit whores in this country don't give a damn about nobody else, and nothing works. So the regional corporations that receive millions, tens of millions of dollars of public funds squander it and waste it and do nothing for nobody.
And it benefits those that they wanted to benefit. The first time when we walked with Felicia last year in Belmont, it gave such a critical image of the lack of what is being done by the local government. And then what was the turnout? Remember, the turnout was a few hundred people out of an
Out of
entire
an electoral district of over 3,000, we had less than 800 people
Right.
voting.
So the people have lost their faith in the local government system. It's not productive. It does not produce results. The persons that work for them, they work 2 hours, they go home. What if you're a citizen looking onwards of that? Are you saying the system's working for you? You're not. You're not thinking the system's working for me. You're not thinking, well, why are they going home? My drain isn't even cleaned. My drain hasn't been cleaned in months. The garbage hasn't been emptied, so forth and so. So this people have lost faith in the system. And that's where we are. We are so broken, and we don't believe that the good can come. Anything works in this country because we're so used to it.
To the point that we celebrate mediocrity. We celebrate a road was paved, a drain was cleaned,
Right.
a tree was pruned.
Right.
These are things that we celebrate now that are supposed to be happening, and that's what local government is supposed to
then
be
the
doing,
other thing is-
maintaining all of these things within your community. And it's not happening, and when it does happen now, we feel as if it's something to celebrate because we're not accustomed to it. Like I said, the same rubbish that we campaigned against last night, it's still there. Election day, after they celebrate and fet in the road and drink rum and wine up, and it's one family now. The next day we woke up and the garbage was in the road. We woke up and the rats were still a problem.
And
We
still
woke up
continue
and
to
the
be.
roads were still bad.
But the thing is, though, the government blaming the people for these issues. So it's like we can't put anybody accountable
No,
for
no,
these
no. You
things.
need a sedition act and a
Because-
defamation act to keep people from speaking. So if you say that the Sabga group of companies built the Grand Bazaar on the Highway Reserve, people are going to be able to take you to court to ask you to defend that, or to retract that, or even get awards against you for that in this mad Alice in Wonderland circle of hell we live in. But the Sabga group of companies built Grand Bazaar on the Highway Reserve, so that what we ended up with to send people north, south, east, west on that interchange puts their lives at risk. We have roads, we have walls appearing out of the middle of the road trying to divide up that traffic. Is even more incredible if you try to come out of Arangwe, Sawa to go Curep, but they have people coming from before Sawa trying to go south. Those two lanes have 100 meters to cross each other, because Sabga group of companies can build Grand Bazaar on the Highway Reserve.
And then also, Philip, critical to note, in the Ministry of Local Government and the Municipal Act of Trinidad and Tobago, the laws are so archaic. So, for example, they have the statute of limitations on it. So, for example, somebody opens a little mom and pop shop. After the 4-year statute of limitations, right, they can change the nature of that business. And because you didn't complain while they were opened as a mom and pop
Right.
shop, it did not bother you. But they continue
Right.
to expand during that time. And before you look up, that you have a huge, business,
Supermarket, yeah.
a supermarket. There's a difference. But again, our laws, as we've always stated, need reviewing,
Massy-
need updating.
Massy supermarkets in Maraval. There's a Massy Express higher up in Maraval. To say what you said, a group of, there were people who took the river reserve that WASA has there to allow for the development of the drainage in the area. They took that land and they built a building and they built a warehouse, and they walled it first and nobody took them on. So then they put up a galvanized structure and nobody took them on. And now it is a Massy Express store on what was the river reserve.
So what about Granny and Grandpa who's sitting home? They feel powerless, Philip, when it comes to this. I did, and I always give everyone this story. How do you think I came across the Progressive Empowerment Party? Sitting home, crying my eyes out because these people were harassing me 10 o'clock at night, and I saw one of Philip's videos with tears in my eyes, going, okay, there's
Man
hope.
is so
There's
sexy.
hope. There's hope. There's hope because someone is addressing
What you feel.
what the average
Michelle
citizen
Davis,
is.
Yeah.
if the
Average
people
citizen.
of Trinidad and Tobago get a collective awakening to their power, all this bullshit done. I'm telling you as a man. Gervais Warner is the CEO of Massy. Now, I don't expect Gervais Warner to know every action of every manager in Massy, Hilo, whatever they call them. But I think that when he does find out that Massy Express in Maraval is built on the River Reserve, he should want to take action, if only to upkeep the impression or the illusion that they are a company of integrity. I want Sabga to answer for Grand Bazaar. I want to live in a country where not just the little corner shop like Daybreak get called out. And I want there to be people in office who will take action, who will make sure and protect the small person.
And that's the critical part. The small person in this country just continues to suffer. I just wrote an article last night on consumer rights, because do we have
That is
consumer
a
rights in this country? Does anybody think, I bought a car part, very expensive car part, and it was the wrong car part. I didn't choose it. But long story short, when I paid my cash, there wasn't a problem. But giving me back my cash 48 hours later was a problem. It was not used, it was still packaged. Do we have consumer rights in this country? We are powerless as citizens
Yeah.
in every aspect. I mean, I can understand the frustration, Philip. You and I, our group has means. We are educated enough to write, and so. But what about the average citizen?
No, but what about the other people? And I asked this question the other day because there are people, and I read all the WhatsApp threads of all these highfalutin, well-heeled, living nice, who talking about all the good boy, he was a good boy, mommy, he was a good boy, and they're talking about they need to make better choices, but these same people selling their souls for silver and selling the nation down the river.
Exactly.
And what they don't like is that I will call them out on this. You talk about consumer rights. The latest piece of nonsense that has been introduced into Trinidad and Tobago, if you buy something and it's the wrong thing and you come within the period of time that you can return it, they're hitting you with something called a restocking fee.
Yes.
A percentage of the value of the thing to restock it. So I bought a guitar and it's $2,000. It's not the right guitar, I bring it back. You need to charge me $250 to put it back on the shelf I took it from.
Correct. What about this week alone in Cedros? In 1 week, WASA went down, TN Tech went down, Digicel went down, B-Mobile went
Oh my
down.
God, you're went into the dark ages.
Not in terms of just an hour or two to, I'm talking 10 hours up to 40 hours
Wow.
plus. Yesterday we did not have electricity. It was all over the news for 12 hours in Cedros. So the food is halfway spoiled, so forth and so on.
Right.
But what caught my attention and frustration was, okay, when this bill comes for all of these interruptions, is there any adjustment? Where are the consumer rights that I didn't have electricity, I didn't
Calm
have
him,
water
Bert.
for 2-3
Built,
days?
your finance minister on the corner of Rich Plain has built a development called West Ridge Villas. And every single homeowner in West Ridge Villas gets a WASA bill. But none of them get water from WASA. Even though they have a WASA connection, it is built so badly that there is one massive concrete tank that supplies everybody. So you get a WASA bill for water that you don't get from WASA. Plus, they have to pay community fees to get the water that they actually do get. Now, nobody tells them this when they come to actually buy the house. Trinidad and Tobago is a place where they can do you wrong, and after you realize the wrong is being done.
Yeah.
But he is the Minister of Finance, so he has to be held to a higher standard, and he is a member of Parliament, and there should be some way to drag his short stunting ass back to Westridge Villas and make him fix it.
Yeah, I agree.
They
I'll vote for that.
Exactly. But they break down the citizens, Philip. That's what you need. When you go once, you go to one agency, you go to, I spent 5 years. I was on TV6, I was on Express. Everybody covered me. Do you think one thing, every opportunity to exploit that situation, I did? I was broken down so badly, as I said. Just, it broke me down physically, trying to resolve a problem that states in black and white that I am correct as the citizen.
I
This
have
is the law of
members of
Trinidad and
Parliament
Tobago.
and ministers writing me and telling me they cannot believe that Kiss Baking Company is still selling outside there after we've exposed how criminal they are. That
No
they have
consequence?
no consequence.
No consequence, no
Trinidad and
follow-up.
Trinidad and Tobago is not a real country. Totally, this is not a real country.
It's not a real country. You're absolutely correct. It's not a real country. And again, we said it earlier before when we were doing that stunt out in Central with
Pep Hops.
Pep Hops, where the lady came and was angry at us, telling us that we are infringing on Kiss's entrepreneur and what they're doing, right? But the point is that she did not see that
They
Kiss
were
themselves
breaking
was
the law
infringing
and infringing on a small
on the
business.
small bakery company, the small man who has the small bakery.
Anthony, Phillip, Michelle, Akila, but do y'all think this is why we have so much lawlessness in this
Yes.
country?
Absolutely.
We
Well
have,
said.
We have a
Yes.
criminal
Absolutely.
population. We have people rotting away in jail cells who are looking at the examples that we have, not just in high places in this country, but in Parliament itself. You're
Yeah.
talking about Common, but
Yeah.
Bill, these are the examples that we have from people who are wearing shirts and tie and collars and jackets and looking all prim and proper.
You think
Yeah.
Terence Dialsing doesn't know the stunt that is taking place in the mental health medical things now
God, I didn't even want to open a
is
can of worms.
about freeing up the land in St. Anne's like they did with St. Michael's, so that a 1%er could get the land.
Buy it.
Trinidad's a broken place. It is a badly broken place. And before we introduce our latecomer, Akila had asked, what do we do? So when Michelle arrived, just making a plan, right? Five RHAs, 9 police divisions, 14 regional corporations, 41 constituencies. Now, everything up on the top is already wonky and shaky. So you have a system where the average person doesn't know, why do we have senators? If the Senate's job is to keep the House in check, but the majority in the House appoints the majority in the Senate, and that if the senators in the Senate don't vote how the majority in the House want, they could be fired now and replaced now. The president could be summoned, fire those 2, swear these 2 in, as was done by Basio Pandey with the 2 Tobago senators. If you remember, when they refused to vote with Baz, he fired them, replaced them with people who would. That moment in my life, I realized it was all bullshit. The Senate serves no purpose in Trinidad and Tobago. The only way to make it functional is to make Senate appointments based on specific criteria of ability and service. You should have an unblemished criminal or service record, and that appointments should be for life, so that you cannot remove them, so that the Senate can function as a check, so that the government of the day, when they're trying to pass laws, will have to pass through a Senate that is embodied to do a function that is not answerable to you. But if you pay my salary, I do what you want.
Exactly.
I do what you want. If because of you I drive in the Benz, tax free, you call the tune, I dance in. And that's what we have in the Senate. The country is badly set up. Nothing works. Nothing works because up at the top it doesn't work. The Speaker of the House cannot come from the winning team because the fix is already in.
Exactly.
If the Speaker of the House stops doing what the Prime Minister wants, the Speaker will be removed.
Because again, there's just everything is politically motivated, Philip.
But it's
not
badly
in the
set up.
not in
The
the
system-
interest of the citizens.
I understand that, but what I'm saying is, they could want to do whatever they want. I had to tell somebody yesterday, people tell me good people make the system work. I said, no. Good systems make
Make
people
this
work.
exactly.
Good systems. If you
Yes.
get into a job and you know the first thing Trinidadians find out when they get a job? All the ways they could lose it.
Yep.
That's what we find out. We want to know where the wall is. I ain't stepping over that line. I want to lose the salary. We need to be able to fire from the Prime Minister come down. Right now, in the United States of America, they are beginning impeachment proceedings against Donald Trump.
Yes.
And God help me, I don't know why. It just seems like people just don't like this man, so they want him out the office. And they have the ability to do it. And like it or not, I prefer a system where you could fire somebody rather than ours where we have this dancing fool.
But many citizens don't believe a system will work because there is proof that we have per se systems in place
Name
and
one.
laws in
Name
place.
one.
Yes, in the Municipal Act of Trinidad and Tobago,
Exactly.
all the issues that we have spoken about, it addresses. It addresses the number of feet you can build upon next to the property.
No problem at all, but
the
there's an
parking, all of these
No,
things.
but there is an escalation here, and I want to say this to you, right?
Right.
That yes, there are those rules. But what I am talking about is systems, the overarching systems that don't work. When you have systems that don't work that govern all of that,
Right.
Yeah.
nothing works. Because if you know that these are rules written down but they're not carved in stone, that I could take a bribe and I could vary that, and they have no consequence. Kiss Baking Company knows that the entire nation of Trinidad knows that they're breaking the law. And Kiss Baking Company does not care.
And they still continue to
And
function.
there
because
is
there's no
nobody
consequence.
in this country shamed into action, motivated into action. Nobody is of any interest to anybody.
So what do we do as a nation? What do we do? The Progressive Empowerment Party, we have plans, we have solutions, and it is up to the citizens of this country to wake up and realize you are not being served. You are not being served. Everything that is done from the top go down is in the interest of those that are in office. It is not in the interest of the average citizen, the average mojo that making, minimum wage.
All right,
Do
so-
we govern from
So
that
everybody
perspective?
wants to know, how would we fix it? Because the Progressive Empowerment Party can't be talking all of this and don't have a solution.
Yeah.
So this is our solution, right? Having 5 RHAs, 9 police divisions, 14 regional corporations, and 41 constituencies does not make sense. Add to that the Tobago House of Assembly, which makes Tobago neither fish nor fowl, because Tobago has 2 constituencies and they have a central government, but they also have a Tobago House of Assembly. Because they've been hitting Tobago with plasters. You make noise today, hold a plaster. A next noise, hold a next plaster. So we end up with a non-functional, dysfunctional theft house. That is the THA, because the THA, all its job is to make life hard for Tobagonians. So we add to that the THA. This is what the Progressive Empowerment proposes. Now, with the issue of Tobago, I want to be clear about this. Tobagonians need to decide what Tobagonians want for Tobago. Trinidadians shouldn't decide that. We've been put together, but that don't mean we need to stay together. And while I would love it forever to be Trinidad and Tobago, for whatever reason, Tobagonians may want to go their own way. And I think that we are way past the point of giving Tobagonians a vote. Would you like to stay part of Trinidad and Tobago, or would you like to go your way? And if they vote to go their way, give Tobago their independence and hands off. If they vote in the majority to stay part of the unitary state of Trinidad and Tobago, fine. We are going forward. We propose to abolish the Regional Health Authority Act. Trinidad and Tobago in its entirety doesn't make up one RHA in a real country. Abolish it. We say abolish how the police service is set up now. It makes no sense, and it makes it difficult to function. There are no clear demarcations and boundaries. They cannot organize even to say they're doing beats and patrols, because there are different divisions and subdivisions and nobody knows what's really going on. Abolish that. The 14 regional corporations, the non-functional, dysfunctional maladministration at the local level called local government, cancel it, shut it down, abolish the Municipal Corporations Act, abolish the THA. We're left with 41 constituencies. And we need to be able to manage the constituencies. Right now, central government dictates the pace of what goes on in the constituencies, regardless of all those organizations that exist.
Exactly.
So let us create something that makes the constituencies autonomous and response-able, functional to the citizens.
Correct.
If you are living in a constituency, there should be somebody that you could go to in that constituency to have your needs addressed. Let's say, to start with, and we propose this as a constituency board of supervisors, and that the constituency board of supervisors will be responsible for the operation of the constituency, separate and apart from central government. So the central government no longer has that as a worry. Central government, the Minister of Works, the Minister of Transport, and the Minister of Health, the Commissioner of Police, the Minister of National Security, they no longer have day-to-day operational control in Diego Martin West or Toko Manzanillo, Tobago East. We propose putting functional people at Constituency Board of Supervisors made up of a supervisor of public works, public utilities, education, healthcare, and security to start. You can add to that, although I can't think of what you would need to add to that to help make life functional at the lower level, at the lowest level, at where our feet meet the ground. The Constituency Board of Supervisors every year would meet and put together their budget requirement to operate all public utilities in the constituency. The supervisor of public utilities would have as a responsibility to make sure that electricity and water are on 24/7. That's your job. That's the job. And if it's not on 24/7, you're not doing the job. And it's a simple case of replace you, bring somebody else. You can't do the job, replace you. You can't do the job, replace you. until we find somebody who could do the job. We have water and current 24/7. You stay there till you're dead. Because that's your job.
Exactly.
And all the people want is water and current 24/7. And if you get a good salary and you get to drive your little Benz and you're liking yourself, and we have water and we have current, and that piece of yard that used to be wasted with tanks and pumps gone, brother, like yourself.
Exactly.
We support that. The supervisor of public health will be responsible for identifying because 19 of our 41 constituencies could fit in Mayaro.
Exactly.
So the supervisor of public health in Mayaro has a different job to the supervisor of public health in Diego Martin Central. Because the supervisor of public health in Mayaro has the same job. Keep emergency response to the citizens within the magic 15 minutes. So now this requires plenty different coordination and management for Mayaro than Diego Martin West has. And the job is to make sure that you have the relevant facilities. We build hospitals where they serve nobody and do not have healthcare centers where they can. Our model is building 24/7 healthcare facilities that are the equivalent of accident and emergency, what Trinidadians call casualty. The place the ambulance takes you to, ER in the States.
Right.
The place that the ambulance takes you to in an emergency, a snake bites you, a car bunks you, your boyfriend stab you, a neighbor shoot you, whatever, you fall off the ladder. The ambulance comes, you get a heart attack, you get a stroke. The ambulance comes and picks you up, and the ambulance gets to your house in less than 10 minutes. Because it has to. That's the job of the supervisor of public health. That Mayaro may need 19 ambulances, Diego Martin West may need 3.
Exactly.
You need to make sure that the whole country is properly run and that everybody has access to the same goods and services, regardless of how close-knit or how far away. In Diego Martin West, we live cheek by jowl. In Mayaro West, you don't see a neighbor for a while.
Exactly. And our proposed executive teams serve a vested interest in the constituency. So, for example, as it is set up now, you have the corporations handling several constituencies, which they don't. Sometimes they ignore 4 of them within
because
that.
they don't reside there.
Because they
live
don't
there.
reside there, and
Or
what
because
we are
there could be a
proposing is
PNM regional corporation and
Exactly.
those 4 constituencies, you can see all this bullshit that takes place.
That's
Yeah.
exactly what's happening. So our proposal focuses on the constituency at hand, somebody that is living there, a team that is familiar with the day-to-day problems that the citizens are going through.
The budget would be read predicated on the fact that the supervisor of public health identified the needs for health in the constituency, and that he totaled that up, or she totaled that up, and there's an $86 million requirement for staff salaries, recurrent expenditures, and there's a $27 million requirement for development of new facilities or the renovation of existing facilities, and that becomes the health component of Diego Martin West. And the supervisor of education, that person's job is to make sure that all the schools are functional. There are 200,000 children in the school system in Trinidad and Tobago at any given time because our population, for some reason, doesn't change. We have 1.4 million people. We have 20,000 children doing SEA every year. It doesn't change. Sea is slightly moderate, waves up to 2 meters in open water. This is Trinidad and Tobago. Things don't change. Things don't change. Yeah? So 20,000 children, 200,000 children in the constituency divided by 40, and that's the average. You're looking at 5,000 children in the constituency as an average. The supervisor of education has a responsibility for taking care and making sure that all the needs are met of those children. Supervisor of public works, his job, her job, flat roads, smooth pavements, drains that work, that takes the water and gives it to the supervisor of public utilities in the catchment areas, retention ponds, the dams, and the reservoirs. It keeps the water flowing in the pipes. See how that works together? Nice. Everybody identifies their budgets to keep their piece of the pie working. Supervisor of security. That person's job is to make sure that there are adequate police stations and police vehicles and guns and vests and pepper spray and dashboard cam and body cam and cameras on the lampposts, and that the national crime statistics broken down by constituency, where it comes to their constituency, keeps trending closer and closer to 0. In New York City, 126 people lost their lives in 2017. In Trinidad and Tobago, 550 did. In Trinidad, we didn't give 2 dams or a rat's ass about our 550 people. In New York City, 126 people lost their lives. It's 126 too many. And they've been having meetings since as to how to make it less than 126. And that's how it's supposed to work. And that's the job of the supervisor of security, supervisor of education, supervisor of health, public works and public utilities. That forms together a constituency board of supervisors. Together they have requested $860 million fiscal 2019-2020 to operate this constituency. And that is sent to the Minister of Finance along with 40 others. Now he has all 41. And between them they've asked for $20 billion to operate the nation state of Trinidad and Tobago broken down by 41 constituencies and develop them. Now we may or may not be able to afford that. And if we can't afford that, he has to respond to each and every one of them and tell them, identify your entire shopping list of requirements here and give them a 1, 2, or 3 designation.
Right.
1 meaning urgent, this school falling apart. 3 meaning we really want this police post here, but we could live without it till next year. So that he can negotiate back and forth and bring the entire budget into what we call balance. Balance the budget. So that it could come into alignment with what is available for the state to spend to manage the country broken down by constituencies. The numbers are approved and you get a document saying that your budget is approved at $500 million. And your $500 million is approved and it's put into what is called a boat in the central bank for you, for your state, for your constituency. And your constituency, over the course of the 12 months, those supervisors are responsible for actioning. When the budget is read, this is the most important part. Right now, when the budget is read, the Minister of Finance gets to be Santa Claus. I will give jelly beans to Kamuto and I'll give jub-jubs to San Fernando. And people say, okay, great, jelly beans this year, jub-jub next year for us? Nice. But what we really want is a country where at budget time, when the minister speaks about Diego Martin West, he could sit down and the member of parliament for Diego Martin West stands up and says, the minister just referred to our $550 million. I would like to say what that's being spent on.
Right.
And that is called accountability and transparency.
Right.
So instead of all of them
Exactly.
standing up and pelting feces at each other in the parliament, your hour, your 45 minutes is spent telling the public
Correct.
Where you will spend your money.
Right.
where the money being spent, right?
Which is the problem now. We don't know where this
No,
money
it's
is
jub jub
being
and jelly
spent.
beans. It's jub jub and jelly beans. So the
And
budget
bulbs.
document should come back fat like a phone directory. And I, in Diego Martin West, supposed to be able to, I forget what's going on with the rest of the country because I'm concerned about the bridge and the road and the street lights. Because my mother wants a street light and my child's school not functional, the children leaking and they have no toilet. And I supposed to be able to turn because because in this constituency board of supervisors, they response able. And I say it like that, not responsible, response able. They have to meet with the communities. They need to identify who need a fish market and who fish market need current and who need a jetty for their boats. Diego Martin West have those issues. Yeah? So that when I turn as a vested member of the community and I find my street that we wanted and we've petitioned the constituency board of supervisors, we petitioned the supervisor of public utilities that our street needs lights. And we see a budget allocation of $2.1 million and we are getting lights this year. So we know that sometime in the next 12 months, we are getting lights.
Right.
They will put out a tender, somebody needs to tender for the lights in this community to put up our lights, and we will see our lights going up. And if 7 months in, no lights have started to go up yet, I will go to the supervisor of public utilities and say, it's allocated in the budget.
Right.
Has it been tendered?
Right.
Because if you've not done that job yet, I am going to agitate to have you removed. Because all I care about is that you do the job and I get my lights. Felicia got into politics over a street light.
Yes.
Yes?
And I got it.
But that's the point. You should be able. This system that we're talking about here moves from the frustration and the burning tires and blocking the road to people saying, Tony is my supervisor of public education and our children in our constituency are doing lower than the national average. And as a member of the Parent Teachers Association, we're holding him to account. Explain why. Because even in communities where poverty keeping children from learning, they don't have lights. They instead of being able to study, they're washing clothes for the neighborhood to make money. I mean, these are realities. Children hungry. They can't think because their blood sugar low. All of this. He as the he as the supervisor of education, supposed to have a social services component that could identify not only the who but the why. So we could address the why and fix it. That's the job of government. To understand the needs and get it done. You see, it's not so frustrating now because you understand that things could be fixed, yeah? That things could work. That's how it's supposed to be. And the Minister of Finance, when he gives a budget, the budget should tell everybody in the country what every constituency is getting and why.
Exactly.
And you can't give P&M constituencies more money than UNC constituencies or PEP constituencies or NJAC constituencies, because that would be a reason to take you before a tribunal and have you fired. The state needs to function as management equitably, equally, and make sure that everybody in the country, their well-being is addressed.
And we as citizens, Philip, deserve to know where the money is being spent. Every year you listen to the budget and you just 6 billion, 5 billion, and there's
you think
no
all that money's going
right.
to
You don't see it. We are not a country. I stated that in an article. We are not a country that looks like we spend billions.
Yeah.
And we know that. Our roads. I mean, the roads in Deep South are tracks. You're spending hundreds in tires, car maintenance, and the cars they're bringing in are not meant for these type of roads. Hence the reason you get the amount of problems you do with cars here. We are not a country reflective of billions being spent. I mean, I live in Citrus, and my family is from there, and I cannot tell you the last time any government did anything for Citrus. It is as though it has gone back in time.
We're stuck in time.
We're back in time. My mother is
Especially
94.
when you go away and come
Right.
back, it's like
It's
You
the
live
same
in
pothole
Cedars,
is there.
And you have no current for 12 hours and water gone and internet down. If I go out in my road, I start to see dinosaurs walking through the road. I would think that
The goat gonna pass, the cow gonna pass, because what is there to do?
Yeah.
What is there to do? The same pothole.
who do you go to?
Who is available
No,
to
but who do you go to? In our
don't make
system,
sense to
really
go
and
to
truly, who do
anybody.
you go to?
You're
You go
supposed
the
to
MP.
go to the count. No, the MP is not the first point of contact to most citizens.
Exactly.
The councillor goes, but then once the councillor is involved, again he's involved in the regional corporation, and then the MP is absent in most constituencies. Most of us have walked about in this country, and that is what we hear on a daily basis. People have not seen their MP in the last 5 years.
Oh, he'll be coming.
But he'll be coming soon. Expect a visit, but we don't see
In
that.
2015, I announced that I was running for elections as an independent candidate in Diego Martin West. The people of Rich Plain, frustrated with Keith Rowley and the Diego Martin Regional Corporation, came to me as a group, Rich Plain. And some mothers and fathers, and I remember this elderly lady in tears, and she telling me she's old now. And she's telling me how far down the hill she has to come to get her water, to go back up the hill in the morning. And she literally, with her handkerchief there, cried to me. I am a candidate, an independent candidate. I do not have political party support, but I go to Wassa and I plead Rich Plains case. And I meet a guy named Mr. Hooker. And unfortunately, Mr. Hooker, he is as moved as I am, but he's impressed with the representation that because he told me, he said to me, he said, them are voting for you. He said, you're not going to win, I said, Mr. Hooker, I here to get water for them. I said, let me get water for them. In about a week, me, Colin Hamilton, who was my campaign manager, a couple other team members, went walking up Rich Plain with a contingent from Wassa. And the people came out in droves. They were just coming out. I mean, they have hills in Rich Plain that are like walking up a wall. I mean, you're walking, but you feel like you can just lean forward and kiss the ground. First, it's steep. And so I felt in that walk what that poor old woman had to go through with buckets of water. And we identified places where we could put pumps and tanks. And we got water for Rich Plain. And in response, the Member of Parliament for Diego Martin West, Keith Rowley, and the councillor reported WASA to the Integrity Commission because they said that by WASA taking action for Rich Plain on my request, they were playing politics. So Keith Rowley and the councillor who failed to get Rich Plain water are angry that I did
For the people.
or that WASA responded. We've lost, you said earlier, we've lost sight of what government is about. It's now raw politics.
PNM
And
has to do it or nobody can do it.
But they're not doing it.
No, and I'm just saying.
They
that's
didn't do it.
what
They
is.
didn't have water for 62 years. So the PNM is not doing it. Keith Rowley is not doing it. The PNM, Diego Martin Regional Corporation, is not doing it. They failed to do it, but we got WASA to do it. And they took action. And I was on TV6 News. And Jewel Brown called me. I was still a political neophyte. Are you going to respond to the leader of the opposition? I said, respond for what? And he told me, and he met me, and I was at the Hyatt to go into the waterfront to view the parliament. And I gave them my response because at that point in time, I didn't know what this meant.
Right.
But I knew Phillip was in trouble because he got water for Rich Plain. And now there's a progressive empowerment party, and Kid Rowley knows I've come back with an army. But now when we go to Rich Plain remembers. Colm Inbert said in the parliament, when I was given the credit for the Diego Martin bypass that solved the evening traffic to go into Diego Martin West and Central, he was the Minister of Works and he was the Member of Parliament for Diego Martin Central. And he said, we had a plan for that all along. And I asked him on Facebook, why didn't you do it? And he blocked me. He blocked me on Facebook for asking him that.
Many of our solutions, what is very interesting is many of our solutions are so easy and so well known around the world. But when you present them to citizens, I think they're in disbelief as though, will this really work in Trinidad? Is it this simple? I mean, we talk about, the light bulbs have been a big joke in the past few, 2 weeks or so. But we talk about that and then we think, we propose solar energy. We have solar energy solutions, but when you talk to the average citizen, it's
They
as
think
though
light
they
bulbs
think
is
it's
a better
impossible
fix.
in Trinidad. They
They
think
let
it's
us
not
try.
applicable in
Yeah, the
Trinidad.
sun here now.
We are still talking water, and I say that in every speech. Why are we still talking water as a solution?
Water, job security,
Right.
traffic.
These are basic
Water, job
necessities
security,
of the
traffic,
average
roads,
citizen.
corruption. I mean,
Correct.
our communication, our questions. Anyway, listen, this show is going on a lot longer than it is normally. And that's when the conversation starts to heat up. We are going to do a part 2 to this, and the panel will come back and join and continue this conversation because I'm certain people are going to want to know more and learn more. So, to bring it to a wrap, Felicia Holder, closing comments.
I mean, everything we've discussed today has pointed to the fact that local government does not work. It is not a reflection of the wants and the needs of the people. And we have also spoken about the Progressive Empowerment Party's solution to a failing local government system, which is basically bringing the power of central government to the constituencies, to the people who need the works done in their constituencies, who need security, health, education, who need supervisors for all of these things, because as it is set up right now, it is set up to fail, it is set up to not work, it is set up to play politics with the people's resources and the necessities that they need. We will definitely have a part 2 on this topic because we need to delve in and discuss just how we intend to make the systems work for the people to bring accountability and transparency into bringing services to the constituents of Trinidad and Tobago. And thank you very much for having me on again, and I look forward to being on the next panel for this local government show.
Akila.
Well, I just want to say that the people of Trinidad and Tobago really need to stand up against systems that don't work, like local government. And the only way to do that is to vote the Progressive Empowerment Party. Let's abolish it once and for all, and we could move on from all this nonsense that we call, government and everything like that. So
Indeed.
that's it.
Tony the Fool.
Yeah, we.
Well, it was a very interesting show, lots of information as usual. It's not really much to say again. Trinidad and Tobago, look, it's common sense, man. It's a no-brainer, and the bottom line is that we have to actually want change. It's that simple. If you think that you're living fine and you're happy, go lucky. I mean, hey, what can I say? But we have all the proof to show. You have the proof to show. Open up your window and look outside. That's all I have to say. Safety and tea, vote baby.
Michelle Davis.
There are solutions to what we face in this country, and that's what we need to recognize as citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. We need to stop the party politics and vote on issues that you and I as citizens are facing every day. And the Progressive Empowerment Party has your solutions to fix this country.
And that's it. That's the point. It can all be fixed. None of the problems that plague this nation should still exist. Michelle said we can't still be talking water. We shouldn't be still talking roads, traffic. Come on. This is simple management science. This is not rocket science. And I think that if Trinidad and Tobago was properly run from 62 to now, we would have put a man on the moon. Trinidadians are quite capable. They're competent and they're brilliant. We've been held back by a failed, archaic political system that wants to separate people based on race so corruption can run at a pace. We need to undo that. We need to undo and redo all the failing aspects of this country. And we're going to keep talking to you. We're going to be bringing information to you that informs, educates, and empowers. And as Tony said, Felicia, Akila, and Michelle said, if what you want is a better country, you are going to have to stand up for it, because it comes down at the end of the day. What we settle for is what we get. It's time for us to demand a better nation in exchange for our vote. And we promise to give you that. The Progressive Empowerment Party has changed the national narrative. I take pride in the fact that every newspaper article is reflecting a PEP spokesperson. Every government statement has a PEP policy or PEP idea. Everybody's sticking a pin all of a sudden, if you notice. And a lot of people want to miss me with that. So I think that we are in a good place where the people are waking up. Now it is time to take that awokeness and move it into action. Stand together as one people under one flag. And together we could fix Trinidad and Tobago. Until next week, Wednesday, this has been Plain Talk.